The message comes in at 11:52 p.m. Kang Hyunwoo is standing at the floor-to-ceiling window of his 43rd floor office, looking at Seoul the way he always looks at it, like a man who owns something he never quite asked for. His phone is face down on the desk. He has been ignoring it for 20 minutes because the only calls that come at this hour are problems, and he has enough of those already. The phone buzzes once. He doesn't move. It buzzes again. He picks it up. Unknown number. A text. Not a call. A text, which means whoever sent it was typing with shaking hands and didn't trust their voice. He opens it. "I can't find the exit. I've been walking for 20 minutes and I think someone is following me. This is the Kang estate, right? Please tell me if someone is awake. Please." Kang Hyunwoo reads it once. Then he reads it again. His jaw tightens. His thumb hovers over the screen. His eyes move to the address at the top of the message. It came to his private number, the number that exists in the contacts of exactly 11 people in the world, none of whom are named in this message, none of whom would text him in English, none of whom would say please twice in the same sentence. Wrong number. Clearly. And yet, he reads it a third time. "I can't find the exit." Not "I'm lost," not "can someone help me." Those are the words of a woman who has been calm so many times in difficult situations that she has learned to describe panic in precise, functional sentences. Like a person reporting symptoms to a doctor. Like a woman who cannot afford to fall apart and is using language as the last form of control she has left. He types back before he finishes the thought. "This is not the estate. You have the wrong number. But I'm reading your message. Where are you exactly?" He stares at what he's written for 4 seconds. He sends it. And somewhere in Seoul, in a building or a street or a parking structure he cannot yet see, a woman named Adaeze Mensah looks at her phone screen, reads the reply, and makes a decision that will change both of their lives in ways neither of them is ready for. To understand why a wrong number text from a maid could freeze a man who has never flinched in the presence of a loaded weapon, we need to go back 4 weeks to the afternoon Adaeze Mensah arrived at the Kang estate with a mop bucket, a work contract, and a contact list she hadn't cleaned out in 2 years. The Kang estate in Sungbuk-dong does not advertise itself. There is a gate, a guard rotation, security cameras at angles that suggest whoever designed the system understood geometry and paranoia in equal measure. The address does not appear on any public map because the people who need to find it already know where it is, and the people who don't need to find it are better off not knowing. Adaeze Mensah finds it on her first try because she has spent the past 3 days memorizing the route from the agency's printed directions, which she has folded into the front pocket of her uniform blazer, along with her work permit, her agency reference letter, and the emergency contact card her older sister made her carry everywhere after she moved to Seoul. She's 26 years old. Ghanaian. She came to Seoul 4 years ago on a student visa, stayed on a work permit, and has been in domestic placement for the past 2 years since the language school she'd been working for closed without warning and left her 2 months behind on rent. She is not the kind of woman who panics. She's the kind of woman who makes contingency plans and keeps them folded in her pocket. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Yoon, 58, gray-streaked hair, the posture of a woman who has been running large household for 30 years and has no patience for people who can't keep up, meets her at the service entrance at exactly 9 a.m. "You're the agency placement?" "Yes, ma'am." "You're replacing Maid, who left without notice 3 weeks ago. You'll be responsible for the east wing, the main dining room, and the second-floor corridor. The family's private quarters are the 3rd floor. You do not go up there unless called. The owner's study is the 4th floor. You never go there at all." Understood. "You have questions?" "Is there an existing schedule for the silver polishing or do I build my own?" Mrs. Yoon looks at her for exactly 2 seconds. "Build your own, before Thursdays." "That works." "It will have to." In 7 days, Adaeze learns the house. Not just the rooms, the rhythms. The way the kitchen sounds at 6 a.m. versus noon. Which guards acknowledge her when she passes and which ones look through her. Where the Wi-Fi is strong and where it dies. Which of the other staff eat lunch together and which ones eat alone and why. She learns Kang Hyunwoo the way you learn weather, by what it does to everything around it, not by looking at it directly. He is 40 years old, unmarried, the kind of man whose name occupies a particular register in Seoul, not spoken carelessly, not spoken in certain rooms at all. The household staff refer to him as Sayangnim and keep their eyes down when he passes and organize their schedules around his without being told to. He passes Adaeze twice in the first week. The first time in the main corridor on Wednesday morning, walking fast, phone to his ear, speaking in clipped Korean she's good enough to partially follow. He doesn't look at her. The second time on Friday evening, coming through the East Wing entrance unexpectedly early. She is on her hands and knees cleaning a baseboard, has not heard him coming, and looks up. To find him standing 3 feet away, looking at her with an expression that is not startled. It is the expression of a man who clocked her presence before she registered his, who is deciding in real time whether to acknowledge the interaction. He decides not to. He keeps walking. She goes back to the baseboard. Later she will think about the fact that he clocked her first. Later that detail will mean something. Right now it is just a Friday evening in a corridor, and she has 2 more baseboards and then she can go eat dinner. On her third day, Adaeze drops her phone. Not her personal phone, the estate phone she's been issued for household coordination. She drops it on the kitchen tile at 7 a.m. and it skids under the refrigerator. And when she retrieves it, the screen has a new crack and the contact list has done something strange. It has synced, partially and incorrectly, with her personal phone's contacts through the estate's Wi-Fi, pulling in numbers she doesn't recognize and labeling them with the estate's internal tags. She scrolls through the damage. Most of it is recoverable. A few numbers are now duplicated or mislabeled. She fixes what she can find and moves on because it is 7 a.m. and the dining room linen needs to be set, and she doesn't have time to audit every contact in both phones. She does not notice the one contact that imported incorrectly. She does not notice that what her personal phone now shows as Kang Estate Emergency Line is not the estate's front desk. It is a private number belonging to the estate's owner. She will not discover this for 27 days. By week 3, Adaeze has found her place in the household's social geography. She eats lunch with Jiwon, 23, who cleans the West Wing and talks constantly about a drama she's watching and has the particular warmth of someone who decided to like you before you gave her a reason to. She takes her breaks in the garden when the weather allows. There is a bench near the south wall where the afternoon light comes in at an angle that reminds her of Accra. Not identically, but enough. She has not spoken to Hyunwoo again. She has passed him in corridors 4 more times. He is always moving. He is always on the phone, or not on the phone, but clearly thinking about what was just said on the phone. He is a man whose stillness, when he is still, feels like the stillness before something happens. She finds this professionally neutral to observe and personally none of her business.
Let us know in the comments where in the world you are watching this video from. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and stay with us. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next video.
The household has a rhythm, and she has found her place in it, and that is what matters. And then, on day 27, the rhythm breaks. It is a Friday evening in mid-November. The kind of cold that Seoul does seriously, and there is a function at the Gang estate. Not a party, Hyunwoo does not have parties, a business gathering. 12 people, a catered dinner, the kind of event that happens in the formal dining room with the doors closed and generates a specific kind of atmosphere in the household. Quiet, tense, professionally immaculate. All available staff have been asked to stay late to support the event. Adaeze is assigned to the corridor outside the dining room. She keeps a serving station stocked, manages the linens, handles anything that comes out of the room without her needing to go in. The event runs long. The guests begin leaving around 10:30, which means by 11:15, the cleaning has been done, the serving station broken down, and Mrs. Yoon has released the staff in small groups.
Adaze's group is released last. She changes out of her formal service uniform in the staff room, collects her bag, and heads for the service exit, the one on the east side of the estate that leads to the staff parking area, where she'll take the shuttle to the nearest subway station. The east wing lights are on motion sensor timer that she has learned has a gap. There is a section of corridor near the old storage rooms where the sensor takes 45 seconds to register movement. And in those 45 seconds, if you're walking through at the wrong pace, it goes dark. It goes dark. She slows. She knows the corridor. She has cleaned it 40 times. She keeps walking. But the door at the end, the door that leads to the east exit, is not where she expects it to. She turns left where she should turn right. She is in the old storage wing, not the exit corridor. The doors look identical in the dark. She retraces. She tries again. She ends up somewhere she doesn't recognize, a back section of the estate she hasn't been assigned to, near what appears to be a garden access point or a secondary garage. The outdoor lights here are dim. The ground is uneven. She walks for 20 minutes trying to find the exit, and then she hears footsteps. Not house staff, she knows their patterns by now. These are heavier, deliberate, coming from behind her and not slowing down. She reaches for her phone. She opens her contacts. She finds Kang Estate, emergency line, and types fast. I can't find the exit. I've been walking for 20 minutes and I think someone is following me. This is the Kang Estate, right? Please tell me someone is awake. Please. She hits send. She keeps walking. Her phone buzzes. This is not the estate. You have the wrong number. But I'm reading your message. Where are you exactly? Adaeze stops walking. She reads it again. Wrong number. She has sent a panic text to a wrong number at 11:52 p.m., and the stranger on the other end has, instead of ignoring it, instead of being annoyed, instead of sending back a single confused question mark, said, "I'm reading your message." She types back, "I'm sorry, I thought this was the estate emergency line. I work here. I got turned around in the east wing after the event, and I can't find the service exit, and I think someone is behind me. I'm probably overreacting. I'm sorry to bother you." She regrets sending it before she finishes sending it. She's apologizing to a wrong number at midnight. This is the kind of thing that happens to you when you're tired and frightened and your phone contacts synced incorrectly 3 weeks ago. The reply comes in 11 seconds. You're not overreacting. Keep moving toward any light source. I'm making a call to the estate right now. Don't stop walking. She stares at the screen. Then she starts walking. 43rd floor. Office window. Seoul spread below him like a circuit board with the power on. Hyunwoo reads the second message and sets his phone down. Then he picks it back up. He makes a call, not to the estate emergency line, because that goes to the front desk, which goes to a guard rotation that will take 3 minutes to mobilize. He calls Shin, his head of security, directly. East wing, back section near the secondary garage. One of the staff, a woman, can't find the exit and says she heard footsteps behind her. Send someone now. Shin moves fast. He always moves fast. Within 90 seconds, 2 guards with flashlights are in the east wing's back section. They find Adaeze 4 minutes later. She is standing very still near a garden access gate, phone in hand, watching the flashlights approach. When she sees the guard's uniform, she exhales. The long, controlled exhale of a woman who has been holding her breath for the past 8 minutes in a way that does not involve actually holding her breath. "Miss Mensah?" one of the guards says. "Yes." "The estate line sent us. Are you all right?" "I'm fine. I got turned around in the dark." "Did you see anyone behind you?" A pause. "I heard footsteps. I don't know if it was another staff member or... We'll check. Let me walk you to the service exit." She follows him. Her phone buzzes one more time. "Did they find you?" She looks at the screen. She types, "Yes, thank you." The reply, "Good. The east wing motion sensor on the back corridor has a timing gap. It's been reported twice. It'll be fixed Monday." She reads that last line twice. It'll be fixed Monday. Not "glad you're okay, bye." Not "no problem, wrong number, take care."
A specific, operational piece of information delivered with the calm of someone who has already made the call and is now managing the follow-through. She puts her phone in her pocket. She doesn't look at it again until she's on the subway. On the subway, she looks at the contact label. Kang Estate, emergency line. She opens the conversation, scrolls up, reads it in order. She thinks about, I'm reading your message. She thinks about, don't stop walking. She does not know whose number this is. She knows it is not the estate emergency line. She knows it is someone who could call the estate's head of security directly and get 2 guards deployed in 90 seconds at midnight on a Friday. She puts the phone away again. She does not sleep well. The motion sensor in the East Wing back corridor is fixed on Monday morning. Adaeze learns this when she goes to clean the storage rooms adjacent to it and finds a maintenance worker finishing the installation. She learns it from Mrs. Yoon, who mentions it at the morning briefing in the way that Mrs. Yoon mentions things, efficiently, without explanation, as though the information needs no context. The East Wing sensor timing was corrected over the weekend, should have been done months ago. Adaeze nods with the rest of the staff. She does not say anything. That evening, in her room in the staff accommodation on the estate grounds, she takes out her phone. She looks at the conversation. The last message is still there. Good. The East Wing motion sensor on the back corridor has a timing gap. It's been reported twice. It'll be fixed Monday. She types, it was fixed this morning. I wanted you to know. She stares at this for a very long time. She sends it. The reply comes in 4 minutes. I know. Then 10 seconds later. Are you the replacement for Murray? Adaeze puts the phone face down on her bed. She picks it back up. Yes, I've been here a month. The East Wing. Yes. A pause. Longer than the others. Then, the sensor gap has been in the report for 6 weeks. It should have been fixed when it was first flagged. She doesn't know what to say to this, so she says, it's fine now. It should have been fine before. She sets the phone down again. She stares at the ceiling. She has been texting a wrong number for 6 days, and she still doesn't know who it is. She knows it's someone at the estate or connected to it. She knows it's someone who monitors maintenance reports. She knows it's someone who made a call at midnight on a Friday and had it answered immediately. She knows. She chooses not to confirm it until she is sure. They do not plan for it to continue. But it does. Not every day. Not with any schedule. Occasionally, in the evenings, after the household has settled. A message from the wrong number, usually a question, usually short. A message back from Adaeze, usually an answer, usually honest. Both of them moving carefully around the obvious things, neither of them naming what this is. How long have you been in Seoul? 4 years. You? Born here. That's different. Is it? Yes. You know where the exits are. A longer pause than usual. Then, fair point. The Accra reference in your emergency message. You're Ghanaian? I didn't mention Accra in the message. Your agency file did. Mrs. Yoon keeps hard copies. You read my agency file. I read all the staff files. That's unsettling. You texted a stranger at midnight. Where even? The event last Friday. Were you working the corridor service? Yes. East Wing service station. The guest who left at 10:47. Did he say anything to you? Adaeze thinks about this carefully. The guest at 10:47 had been in his 50s, expensive suit, the kind of man who moves through spaces assuming they belong to him. He had stopped at the service station. He had looked at her in a way that she recognized and did not like. He had said, in Korean, "Are you new here? I don't remember seeing you before." She had said, "Yes, sir. Is there something I can get you?" He had paused for a moment too long and then walked on. She types, "He asked if I was new. I said yes and offered to get him something. He left." The response takes longer than usual. His name is Baek Jung-woo. He's a business contact, not a friend. If he approaches you again, come to Mrs. Yoon immediately. She reads this carefully. Should I be concerned? Not if you come to Mrs. Yoon. That's not a no. No, comes the reply. It's not. Day 39. She sees him in the corridor. Not the East Wing corridor, the main corridor, second floor where she's finishing the afternoon rounds. He comes through the far door moving at his usual pace, controlled, purposeful, the kind of walk that doesn't vary regardless of what the day has contained. He sees her. He slows. Not by much, a fraction of a second. The slowing of someone who has registered something that requires a fractional recalibration before continuing. He keeps walking. She keeps walking. They pass each other at a distance of 4 feet. Neither of them speaks. That evening, she picks up her phone and types, "You walked through the second floor corridor this afternoon." The reply is immediate. Yes. You saw me. Yes. You know who I am. A pause. I knew on day 3. The agency file has a photo. And I've been texting you for 2 weeks without knowing it. Yes. She looks at the ceiling of her room for a long time. You could have told me. The pause this time is longer than any pause that has come before. She watches the 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. I know.
Let us know in the comments where in the world you're watching this video from. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and stay with us. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next video.
I didn't want you to stop. She puts the phone face down on her bed and lies there in the dark of her room for a very long time, breathing carefully, thinking carefully, doing the kind of thinking that you do when something has changed in a way that can't be unchanged, and you need to understand what the change means before you decide what to do with it. She picks up the phone. This is a problem. Yes, you're my employer. Technically, the agency is your employer. That's a technicality. Yes, it is. A long pause. I'm not going to pretend, he types, that this is a normal situation. It isn't, but I'd like to ask you something. Ask. The conversation we've been having for 2 weeks, has it felt like something you wanted to stop? She lies in the dark of her room and she is very honest with herself, which is something she has always been, because dishonesty with yourself costs more than it saves. No, she types. Then I'd like to keep having it, on whatever terms make sense to you. She holds the phone for a long time. I need to think. Take all the time you need. She does. She is still thinking on the morning of day 42, when Baek Jung-woo appears. She is at the service station on the first floor, the small alcove near the main entrance, where she keeps the daily linen cart. It is 10 a.m., and she is not expecting guests, and he is simply there, the way people are sometimes simply there when they have enough power to not need appointments. He looks at her the way he looked at her at the event. The new girl, he says, in Korean, pleasantly. The pleasantness of a man who has decided he's allowed to be pleasant to service staff in whatever way he chooses. Mensah, right? African girl. Yes, sir. Can I help you with something? I'm waiting for Hyunwoo. He's expecting me. He leans against the wall near her station. How long have you been here? 6 weeks, sir. Settling in well? He looks at her in the specific way she recognized at the event and does not like. This is a good house to work in. Hyunwoo takes care of his people. A pause. As long as his people understand how things work. Of course, sir. Good. He smiles. Good girl. He pushes off the wall and walks toward the main sitting room. Adaeze breathes for a moment. Then she picks up her phone. She texts Mrs. Yoon, not the wrong number, Mrs. Yoon, as she was told. Baek Jung-woo is in the main entrance. He said he has an appointment. He stopped to speak to me at the service station. Mrs. Yoon's reply is immediate. I'll send someone. Go to the East Wing. She goes to the East Wing. That evening, from her room, Baek Jung-woo was here this morning. The reply is faster than usual. I know. Mrs. Yoon told me. What did he say to you? She types it out. All of it. Exactly. The pause is long. He won't come back. How can you be sure? Because I've made it clear that the staff of this household are not available for his particular kind of attention. She reads this carefully. Did you do that because of me specifically or as a general policy? A pause. Both. She looks at her phone for a long time. I've finished thinking, she types. And I'd like to keep talking, on my terms. Name them.
She thinks about this. She is careful. She is always careful. She types 3 things. 1. This stays entirely separate from my employment. My work performance stands on its own. No special treatment, no interference, no complications in either direction. 2. At any point, if this becomes something that I can't manage professionally, I leave the position with a full reference. No questions, no pressure. 3. I get to ask you direct questions and you answer them directly. No deflection. The response comes back in under a minute. Agreed. All 3. Then, my turn. Go ahead. Why did you stay in Seoul after the language school closed? You could have gone back to Accra. She lies in the dark of her room and thinks about this, about her sister's voice on the phone the night she found out the school was closing, about the particular arithmetic of starting over, what it costs, what it buys, what you give up in either direction, about the thing she has not said out loud to many people, which is that she stayed because going back felt like admitting that the thing she came here to build wasn't real. She types, because leaving would have meant the 4 years didn't count. I wasn't ready for them to not count.
The response takes a while. They count. 2 words, no explanation, no embellishment. She stares at the ceiling for a long time after that. Day 50, she asks her first direct question. You have a security detail. You have a private number that 11 people in the world have. You made a call at midnight on a Friday and had it answered in seconds. What do you actually do? The pause is the longest yet. Officially, private investment, logistics, property. And unofficially, things that don't get written down. She knew this. She has known this in the way that you know things in a house like this. Not from being told, but from the texture of it. The way certain guests arrive without being announced. The way some calls happen in rooms with closed doors. And when the doors open, something in the room has shifted. The way Hyunwoo carries certain silences, the way other people carry weight. Is it dangerous? To me, sometimes. To people I care about, I work very hard to make sure it isn't. Is that why Baek Young-woo understood when you made it clear about the staff? Yes. She thinks about this for a long time. Does it bother you, what you do? The longest pause yet. She watches the 3 dots appear and disappear 3 times before the reply comes. There are parts of it I chose. There are parts of it I inherited. The parts I chose, I made my peace with them a long time ago. The parts I inherited, I'm still working out. That's a very honest answer. You asked for direct answers. I did. A pause. Then, my turn. Go ahead. When you texted that night, when you were in the dark and you heard footsteps, what were you actually feeling? She thinks about this carefully. I was doing the thing I always do when I'm frightened, she types, which is to act like I'm not. The text was very controlled, very matter-of-fact. I can't find the exit, like I was reporting it to someone with a clipboard. You were terrified. Yes, but you kept walking. Stopping felt worse. A long pause. Then, that's what I thought. She stares at the ceiling. Is that why you responded? Because I sounded like I was trying not to fall apart? The response comes quickly this time. I responded because you said please, twice. People who are performing calm don't say please twice. Please is what comes out when the performance cracks for a second. She reads this line 4 times. She has never had someone explain her own fear back to her more precisely. You were paying attention, she types. I'm always paying attention. It just doesn't always matter. That night, it did. Day 58. The complication arrives in the form of a journalist. A freelancer, Park Sung-men, 31, bylines in 2 major outlets. The kind of journalist who makes his living in the territory between public record and private life. He has been circling a story about the Kang estate for 6 months. He has not been able to get inside it. He approaches Adaeze on her day off. Not at the estate. She is at the market 2 kilometers away, the one she goes to on Saturdays for produce and the specific brand of palm oil she cannot find anywhere else in Seoul. She is examining tomatoes when he appears beside her and says her name. She looks up. She does not know him. Mensah Adaeze?
he says. You work at the Kang estate. I'm a journalist. I just want to ask you a few questions. No, she says. Simple, immediate. I understand if you're concerned about. I'm not concerned. I'm saying no. She puts the tomatoes in her basket and moves away from him. He follows for 2 steps. I can make it worth your while. Information about the household, about who visits, about. She stops walking. She turns to look at him. She is very calm. I don't know who you are. I don't know who sent you or what you're looking for, but I work in a private household and I don't discuss my employer or the people who visit. That's not fear. That's integrity. Please don't follow me. She walks away. He doesn't follow. That evening, she texts, a journalist approached me at the market today. Park Song-min, 31, bylines in 2 major outlets. He asked about the household and who visits. The reply is almost immediate. I know. He's been trying to get to the house for months. Are you all right? I'm fine. I told him no and walked away. I know that too. She frowns at the screen. You knew before I texted you? We have security presence in the area near the market on staff days off. It's standard. She thinks about this, the invisible architecture of protection that surrounds this house and apparently the people connected to it. Is that uncomfortable for you to hear? He asks after a moment. She is honest. A little. I can pull it back. That's not what I'm asking. What are you asking? She thinks about how to say this precisely. I'm asking whether I should be worried, not about the journalist, about the things the journalist is looking for. The pause is measured. There are parts of my life that create exposure. I manage that exposure carefully. People who are connected to me are part of what I manage carefully. I'm a maid who's been here 2 months. You're someone I text at 11 p.m. She reads that line twice. That's not an answer to my question. I know. A pause. But it's the honest answer to what you actually asked. She puts the phone down. She picks it up again. Are you worried about me? The reply. Yes. Is that a problem? She holds the phone for a long time. No, she types finally. It's not a problem. She sees him in the garden. This is not something that happens. The garden is the household staff's outdoor space during breaks. He does not come to the garden. But on day 63, at 3:15 p.m., she is on her usual bench, the one where the afternoon light comes in at the angle that reminds her of a craw, and she hears footsteps on the stone path. She looks up. He is standing at the edge of the garden path. He is not on his phone for once. He is simply standing there with his hands in the pockets of a jacket that is too expensive for a garden visit, and looking at her with an expression that she has never seen on his face in any corridor. He is uncertain. Kang Hyunwoo, who made a call at midnight on a Friday and had it answered in seconds, who has made Baek Jung-woo understand things without raising his voice, who runs an empire on a floor she has never been to, is standing at the edge of the garden, looking at her like a man who has arrived somewhere and is not entirely sure he is allowed to be there. I walk through here sometimes, he says, in Korean, when I need to not be in the office. She looks at the bench beside her. It is empty. She does not say anything. He sits down. They sit in the garden for 40 minutes, and they talk, not on the phone, in actual voices, in the actual afternoon light, in the actual garden that smells like the last of the autumn chrysanthemum and cold stone. He asks about Kumasi. She asks about what Seoul looked like when he was a child. He tells her about his father who built the business from nothing and died before Hyunwoo could decide whether he wanted to inherit it. She tells him about her mother who told her Seoul was too far and then called every Sunday to hear what it looked like. They talk about small things. They talk about the kind of things that do not feel small at all. At 4 o'clock, he stands. He looks at her for a moment with that expression that is still unfamiliar on his face, still uncertain, still careful, still something she doesn't have a word for yet. Same time Thursday, he says. She looks at him. If you want, she says. He nods once. He walks back toward the house. She sits in the garden in the afternoon light and thinks, there it is. It is not announced. It is not labeled. It simply becomes the thing that happens.
Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3:15 p.m., when the light is at the angle she likes, Adaeze is on the bench. At 3:20, footsteps on the stone path. At 3:22, he sits down. They talk until 4 o'clock. He leaves. She stays another 10 minutes. They still text in the evenings, but the texture of it has changed. The things they say in person show up differently in the messages now, like two conversations happening in parallel that are actually the same conversation. She learns him in the garden. He is quieter than he appears from a distance. He listens like very few people listen, not waiting for his turn, not building his response, just actually receiving what is said. He asks questions that show he has been thinking about what she said the last time. He remembers everything. He learns her in the garden, that she is stubborn about certain things and flexible about others, and has a specific standard for which is which. That she does not perform emotions she doesn't feel, but she feels them clearly and says so when asked. That the thing she is most careful about is also the thing she needs most, to be seen as competent, capable, the author of her own story. He does not interfere with her work. He does not give her special treatment or create distance between her and the other staff. He does not make her situation complicated in any of the ways she feared. He does exactly what he said he would. Keep it separate. Hold the line. Stay honest. One Tuesday, it rains. She goes to the garden anyway. He goes to the garden anyway. They sit on the bench under a shared umbrella from the staff umbrella stand, their shoulders almost touching, talking about nothing and everything until the 4 o'clock alarm on her phone. She goes back inside. He goes back inside. She texts him that evening. "You came in the rain." "So did you." "I didn't think you would." "I said same time Thursday. That counts as Tuesday." She smiles at the screen in a way she doesn't try to stop.
Let us know in the comments where in the world you're watching this video from. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and stay with us. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next video.
Day 80. A Thursday. The light is gold and thin, the way Seoul light gets in late autumn when it's working hard. He is quiet longer than usual. She doesn't fill the quiet. She has learned that his silences are not empty. "I want to tell you something," he says, in Korean, which is how they always speak in the garden. "Tell me." "When I read your text that first night, the wrong number." He looks at the garden, not at her. "I read it 3 times. I kept looking for the angle. In my work, there is always an angle. Someone reaching out in the dark always wants something." And I couldn't find one." He is quiet for a moment. "Someone who wanted something from me would not apologize twice, would not say they were probably overreacting, would not send the wrong number text at midnight and immediately feel embarrassed about it." He looks at her now. "You were just frightened. That was the whole thing. You were just frightened and you reached out and it happened to reach me." She meets his eyes. "I could not walk past that," he says. "I have walked past a great many things in my life that required walking past. That text, I could not walk past it." He pauses. "I don't entirely understand why. I'm telling you that honestly." She is quiet for a long moment. "I think," she says carefully, "that you spend a great deal of time around people who need things from you, who reach toward you because of what you represent." She watches the last chrysanthemum in the garden move in the cold air. A wrong number is the only thing that can reach you that has no calculation in it, no strategy, just a person in the dark who is trying to stay calm. He is very still. That's what it was, just me in the dark, trying to stay calm. "I know," he says quietly. "That's exactly what it was." They sit in the autumn garden until 4 a.m. 3 weeks later, it is December. Seoul is cold the way Seoul means it. The garden bench has been moved under the covered section of the south wall, which is where it will stay until March. The light is different here, less of the aqua quality she loved, but she has come to find something in it that she loves differently. She is on the bench at 3:15. At 3:20, footsteps. He sits down. He is holding 2 cups of tea from the kitchen. Chrysanthemum, because she mentioned once in passing that she used to make it for her grandmother, and he listened the way he always listens. He hands her one. "You made tea." she says. Someone in this garden always makes tea. I thought I'd try. She looks at the cup. She takes a sip. It is exactly the right temperature. You timed this. Yes. She looks at him. He is looking at the garden with the expression that is no longer uncertain, or rather, it is still uncertain, but the uncertainty has settled into something she recognizes. The uncertainty of someone who has decided to stay in a place they are not sure they deserve to be, and has decided that the question of deserving matters less than the fact of staying. The wrong number, she says. Do you think about it? How close it was to nothing? Yes. Me too. I hold the cup with both hands, feeling the warmth of it. One contact above in the list, one tap higher than I meant. One sensor gap in one corridor. One event that ran late. He looks at her. A lot of things had to be exactly wrong for it to go right. She thinks about this, about the specific geometry of accident, the way the things that change everything arrive wearing the clothes of mistakes, about her phone syncing incorrectly and the maintenance report that sat unfiled for 6 weeks, and the event that ran late and the light sensor that took 45 seconds too long, about a stranger on the other end who said, "I'm reading your message," when he could have said nothing at all. I'm glad they were, she says. He is quiet for a moment. So am I. The December garden is cold and still and bare. Somewhere above them, the estate runs its quiet machinery, guards rotating, staff moving, the invisible architecture of a world that is neither simple nor safe, nor entirely what she expected when she came to Seoul 4 years ago, looking for something she couldn't quite name. She is still looking. But for the first time in a long time, she does not feel like she is looking alone. Her phone is in her pocket. The contact is still labeled Kang Estate Emergency Line. She has not changed it. She doesn't think she will. She texted a wrong number. That is the whole beginning of it. One contact above in the list, one tap too high, one moment of dark and fear and the particular precision of a woman trying very hard not to fall apart, reaching for the closest thing that looked like safety. She said, "I can't find the exit." And the man, 43 floors above the city, in an office full of decisions that never get written down, read it 3 times looking for the angle, and found that there was none. Just a woman in the dark. Just "please" said twice. He could have put the phone down. He could have sent a single line, wrong number, and gone back to the window and the city and the particular weight of being a man like him. That would have been the sensible thing. That would have been the contained thing, the thing that keeps everything in its proper arrangement. He didn't. He sent 2 guards with flashlights. He fixed a sensor gap that had been in a report for 6 weeks. He kept reading her messages. He came to the garden in the rain. And she, who has spent 4 years in a city that didn't know her name, who came here because leaving would mean the years didn't count, and has been building something in careful, deliberate increments with her hands and her honesty and her stubborn refusal to be smaller than she is, she kept talking. Not because it was safe. It wasn't safe. His world is complicated in ways she is still learning, and complicated things have edges. But she had asked for direct answers, and he had gotten them. She had asked for her terms, and he agreed to all 3. She had said, "I need to think," and he said, "Take all the time you need," and meant it. Some people wait for certainty before they choose. Some people choose and let certainty catch up. In a December garden in Seoul, with chrysanthemum tea and a bench moved under the south wall for winter, 2 people are choosing. One tap above the right contact, one sensor gap, one wrong number that was, in every way that mattered, exactly right. Stay dangerous. Stay loved.